Good morning. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate the partnerships that we have with everybody in the room, and especially our speakers here today. I don't know that we've had a more distinguished panel of speakers at our events, but today is very special for us for a lot of reasons, because our message is to click it or ticket. We want people to get to the races safely, get home safely, and have all the fun in between all of that. So that is our message, is to buckle up every trip, every time. And we met Ross last year in Indianapolis, and we have worked with NASCAR drivers before, but never have we been approached by a NASCAR driver and said, hey, I want to partner with you. And that's today what you see is all of that stuff that Ross brings to the table with all of his messages about using your melon and save your melon. And what a wonderful way to expand our message to the people that we're trying to reach. And we always talk about statistics, but I know this, not one time has any race driver around this track done it unbuckled. But a lot of our fans arrive unbuckled and they go home unbuckled. But what we want is for people to be like the drivers and buckle up every trip, every time. And so that's our message, especially over the Memorial Day weekend where there's a lot of festivities going on. There's a lot of traveling going on. And so make no mistake that, you know, law enforcement's going to be looking to save lives, not to get anybody. So what we're trying to do is get the message out. If you're buckled up, you don't have anything to worry about. But if you're not buckled up, then perhaps you do. So that is why we're all here with a unified message to get here safely, get back home safely. And to make that happen, I want to bring Colonel Smith from the Kansas Highway Patrol to the podium and hear some words from Colonel Smith.
Well, thank you, Gary, and good morning. Thank you all for being here today. We're proud to join our partners from the Kansas Department of Transportation and the rest of our traffic safety partners for the launch of this year's Click It or Ticket High Visibility Seatbelt Enforcement Campaign. I'm Colonel Eric Smith. I'm the Superintendent of the Kansas Highway Patrol, and today we're delivering this important message from the Kansas Speedway, a location where driver safety is of the utmost importance, and where seatbelts and harnesses are never optional. Off the track, that same rule applies, because the consequences of failing to buckle up are just as serious. At the Kansas Highway Patrol, our mission is to protect the lives of everyone traveling on Kansas roadways, and this protection begins with prevention through the simple decision to buckle up. According to the National Occupant Protection Use Survey, sponsored by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Kansas is approximately 5% below the national average for seatbelt use. That national average is about 92%, and Kansas use is at about 86%. While usage has gradually increased over the years, we continue to educate drivers on the importance of being properly restrained for the safety of everyone on the road. You know, not too long ago, one of our troopers recently responded to a crash on I-70 less than 10 miles from here at the Speedway. That driver lost control. Their vehicle rolled several times before coming to a rest upside down in the bottom of a ditch. That driver, who was wearing a seatbelt, immediately walked away to call for help. Our troopers have witnessed people survive violent, horrible crashes simply because the vehicle occupants were wearing their seatbelt. Unfortunately, we've also had to deliver heartbreaking news to families who have lost a loved one in a crash from which they might have survived if only they had taken 2 seconds to buckle up. Of the 344 traffic fatalities here in Kansas last year, only approximately 47% of those occupants were wearing a seatbelt. That's less than half. That means that nearly half of those lost might have been saved if a different choice had been made. With Memorial Day fast approaching, one of the busiest travel weekends in the nation, we urge every motorist and every occupant on Kansas roadways to wear a seatbelt. Click it or ticket isn't just a catchphrase. It's about influencing behavior, not about writing tickets. It's a national life-saving campaign backed by statistics involving real people, real families, and their stories. Let's work together to ensure that no more lives are lost to something that's so preventable. Buckle up, every trip, every time. Thank you. I want to turn this over to our host, the president of the Kansas Speedway, Mr. Patrick Warren.
Thank you. Do I need a microphone? My voice carries well enough that it probably isn't necessary. I just want to thank Ross for being here today, KDOT, the Highway Patrol. Obviously, seatbelts are an important life-saving tool or device in cars. Ross, of course, would never get in a stock car without it, but people don't. I think sometimes people get a false sense of security, frankly, from watching NASCAR races, because they'll see a violent wreck. The car rolls, it flips, it hits the wall. The driver climbs out safely. That's not just the seatbelt, it's the helmet, it's the Hans device, it's our safer barriers. But the seatbelt, maybe the most important part, probably the most important part. And it's something that we all have in our personal vehicles. And just because we have airbags and other devices that help us, you can't not wear your seatbelt. It's just, frankly, it's stupid not to do. And it's something that, just from a common sense perspective, wearing it is going to help you if you're in an accident. Even if you survive the accident, if you're not wearing the seatbelt, the chances of being, injured, maimed, losing a limb, those kind of things, they all dramatically increase if you're not wearing a seatbelt. So, again, for our drivers, it's simple. I don't race. I just drive a Toyota Sequoia, but I wear it every time I'm in it, and I always will. So, Ross?
Yeah. I will use the mic just in case we need it. Yeah, thank y'all for being here. Like Gary said, this is a partnership that I wanted and went out and wanted to work with Kansas and traveling here twice a year for races and other things for other reasons. It's something that this Protect Your Melon and Use Your Melon program started back in 2015. So we're more than a decade into this campaign. And it all started out of seeing accidents on the road and traveling for the NASCAR Truck Series and Xfinity Series at the time. With my family, we saw an accident and thought, well, it was really bad when we came up on it on the highway and started talking about it. And then as I did more research, I realized that they weren't accidents, they were crashes. People were crashing on I-70 and in these interstates across the country and rural roads, just like we were on the racetrack. And out of that, Protect Your Melon was born, a thought that I'm a race car driver. I crash on the racetrack. I win on the racetrack. I hadn't won at that point yet, but that was the goal. But when I get out of the race car, I get right back into a vehicle that I travel there in. And in America, in today's world, we get everywhere. We got everybody here at Kansas Speedway this weekend. We'll get here through some form of transportation in a vehicle. And you'll have that option and that choice to make to put on a seatbelt. And so as we dove into the reason people were being injured and the reason for these crashes, they're not accidents, they're actual crashes. We thought we could do something in trying to be proactive and preventative. And then when I started meeting troopers and these officers that are out trying to prevent crashes and for their speed related, or if they are crashing, have people have their seatbelts on. I realized that the old saying that they weren't writing tickets for a quota; they were doing it to try to save lives, and that's something that I wanted to be a part of. I'm not an officer; I'm not anybody of the law, but I have a unique perspective of crashing. I've hit a concrete wall with a safer barrier on it at 140 miles an hour, virtually head on, just a couple of years ago in 2022, and without a seatbelt system in place, I would not be here today. Drivers, as recently as, I'll say 20 years ago, were not walking away from crashes like that. And when I think about my seatbelts, I have 3 belts that come between my legs from the bottom. I have 2 lap belts. I have 2 shoulder belts that physically touch me. And then I have 2 more on top of that hold the Hans device. So it's a web. Think of it as a spider web that holds me in, and it's holding me into a custom designed seat that keeps me from moving left or right and keeps me in place. It's a foam mold I sit in inside of a carbon fiber bucket with a head surround that won't let my head move more than 1/8 of an inch left or right. The Hans device keeps my head from moving an inch forward. It'll catch me. I'm in fireproof everything. Everything in the car has steel plates and metal bars, steel bars around me on the sides to keep anything from coming in from the side. A window net, bulletproof plastic windshield and back glass. All this stuff to keep us safe as race car drivers so we can go out at Kansas Speedway and race at almost 200 miles an hour, 4 wide, and have dramatic finishes like we had a year ago, and for us to get a very nice and boring win last fall. All of that said, when I get out of the race car, I get in a Chevy, get in my Silverado to drive back to the airport, or a Tahoe, and I'm buckling up, and I'm trying to get there just like everybody else. And I'm in the same traffic getting out of the racetracks when tens of thousands of people are getting out of the grandstands and going home through some form of an automobile. We want everybody to get home. I want to get home, selfishly, and I want other people to get home. And that's the goal of this. That's why we're driven to zero. That's why the protect your melon, to buckle up, use your melon, to make the right decisions, to have a designated driver. I don't want to be on the road with impaired drivers. I don't want any kind of distracting anybody on the roads, because I'm on the roads too. I'm on I-70 coming over to the track this morning with everybody else. And we have enough things in life going against us. Highway safety and making the wrong decisions shouldn't be a part of that. And for me, I have a personal story of one of my best friends growing up. We went to school together, and we grew up, and our families knew each other for longer than Cody and I, my friend, were even alive. But right out of high school, just a couple of months, him and another friend of mine, Shane, they were working nights at a lawn care company. They were sharpening mower blades and servicing the lawnmowers. And they got done, and they were going to get dinner. They were headed up to Wendy's to grab food and grab some burgers, and they never made it. They were in a car crash. They were in a truck crash. Somebody turned in front of them. They rolled. Cody was driving, rolled the truck. Neither one of them were belted, and Cody was ejected out of the driver's window. Shane was pushed down into the floorboard. Now, Shane crawled out of the truck when it came to a stop after it barrel rolled several times. He's fine. He walked out of the hospital the next morning. Cody never stood up again. Cody has never walked again. He's in a power chair, still living a great life, has a clothing brand, a lifestyle brand called Why Not that is very successful, but is in a power chair, drives in an assisted truck with hand controls. Super athletic guy, had the world in front of him, and because he was unbelted, he was ejected and will never walk again. That was another part of why Protect Your Melon was formed. It took us a couple years to really grasp what we wanted to do, but that was a real driving factor. And I think for a lot of people, some sort of traffic crash has affected their life, and it's usually not for the better. So from all of that said, that's why we're here. That's why I'm here, and that's why I wanted to work with work in Kansas to try to be proactive with residents here. And whether you're traveling in for the race from out of state or you live here, we want you to be safe on Kansas roads. Whether that's I-70 and you're running down the interstate, or you're on a gravel road out in rural Kansas, there's a lot of life to live, and we don't want being unbelted to be a part of that life. So thank y'all for having me, and I'll turn it back over to you, Gary.
Thank you very much for those very compelling words. And I've been asked a lot today, why are you here? Well, first of all, because we were invited by the Kansas Speedway, who cares about their fans. And that's part of our Fans with a Plan program that we have, that there is a lot of caring that goes on that maybe doesn't make the news or the camera, but there's compassion, and there is a lot of sense of helping people make good decisions. And that's what Ross tells us, is that, number one, he's very influential, especially with the people that we're trying to reach. And if you look out on the parking lot, there's a lot of pickups out there. And here's a stat that we know about pickups, that no matter who is driving the pickup, the observed rate is about 60%. So whoever is driving their SUV or their other car, they're always buckled up. But when they get in pickups, there's a sense of security, and they don't buckle up. And that's what we're trying to do, is let people know that it doesn't matter what vehicle you're in, please buckle up. It makes a difference. And the survivability of crashes goes up at least 25% in a crash if you're buckled. So there is reason to buckle up, and there's reasons why we're here. Because we're trying to reach the people that are fans of NASCAR. We're trying to reach the people that are going to be here throughout the weekend. So that's why we're here, and we appreciate NASCAR and the Kansas Speedway inviting us because we know this is a coveted ticket here. Not everybody gets to speak, and we're blessed that we have people that care and want us to send our message out. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
That means we did a good job.
Yes.